Oh.
or
Okay,
we're on time
repeat
for
everybody.
once. I
Hey,
think we're on
everybody,
time.
Dan's not here, so we're on time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Happy Friday,
Oh, he's gonna
everybody.
love that. Yeah, Patty will love that. We're on time. Oh, that's funny.
Norman, what time is it there in New Zealand? What time is it in New Zealand? It's got to be
I
like in
don't
the middle
know.
of the night.
They're not in New
Yeah, I
Zealand,
feel
are they?
like
Yeah, Norman James says hi from New
Oh,
Zealand
in
down under.
Okay.
yeah. There he
Yeah.
goes down under.
Wow,
Well,
Yeah,
everybody, Dan's off
beautiful.
getting smarter today. Him and Kevin are getting smarter, so they're gonna have lots of fun stuff
yeah. They're out
about
at a
marketing.
conference,
Yep.
Kajabi conference that kind of
Yep.
ties
Marketing.
into Dan's push on marketing, which we'll talk about a little bit about that today. So
Yep.
the website service he uses to host his stuff, to manage all of his email handlers. He's at a conference for that particular website, which is called Kajabi. So we should
Yeah.
pull up a link to that, but I'm not sure if he's got an affiliate link for that. But
Well,
um,
Kajabi is an education site, so that's where his website is, and all of his classes are listed on it. So if you have
okay,
an education program, you run a program like Kajabi is one of them.
okay, it looks like you're in a classroom right now.
I am. I'm at my school,
You're at
and
the
we're.
school.
It's kind of unfortunate that the school's being one of the buildings is being totally remodeled, and they put the architecture and interior design in pods. We're out in a parking lot. We have the most ugly environment, and that's what we do for a living. So, my new location will be much prettier than this.
Nice, in a parking lot, and
That's us in the parking lot.
John's up in the woods somewhere. It
Yep.
looks like, and I'm
Yep.
out in Costa Rica right now. So yeah, and we all have internet problems.
That's why I'm at
Um,
the school, so I don't have internet problems.
yeah. Oh, there you go. So I'm going to address this real quick. We've got a mention from Bill Murray, and I've been seeing this question pop up a lot, and I think this has a lot to do with how we're sharing our data and our security and analytics through our various services that we use. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes just to talk about this, because I've done a couple things to kind of limit my phone calls, and it's really helped out. So one is I have a bunch of Alexa devices in my house, and they control all my lighting systems. And so I had to go in and figure out how to turn on off the settings that share my voice data with Amazon, because when it shares with Amazon, it's not just Amazon. They then sell it to other companies as an auction, believe it or not. And so before you know it, whatever I talk about in my own home gets pushed to me through an ad almost immediately. So since I changed that particular bit of data, Alexa no longer shares my voice data, and I get a lot less calls and ads placed that have to do with something I just talked about in my house. So that's
So
one
how
part
did
of it.
you do it? Okay. So how do
Well,
you do that?
I'll back up. I just Googled it. I Googled, simple enough. Google, how do I stop sharing data with Alexa? There you go. I don't want ads from Alexa. So that was one part of it. Next part is I did the same thing for Siri, and I even turned off active listening. I use an iPhone. In past, I've used an Android. Both of these have these services where it's, you say, hey, Google, you say, hey, Siri, it will pop up. Well, I turned that off, and I just stopped the active listening altogether. So that was step two. Step three is a little more complicated, and I decided that I don't want anyone calling me that hasn't contacted me before via email through my website. So, and everything else sends to voicemail. And my voicemail now says, I have a filtering service on. And so if I've never spoken to you before, you've never emailed me before, you're getting sent to voicemail. And I will review it, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. It's very a cheerful message. And so I use a service called Zapier, and I automated a process where anytime someone clicks on contact me through my website, it asks them for their phone number. As soon as it asks them from their phone number, Zapier takes that data, puts it in my contacts. So if you've emailed me before, you're in my contacts list, which means if you call me, your call comes through. If it doesn't, in an iPhone, I have it set to don't ring, don't vibrate if it's not someone that's in my contacts, which is great. I don't get bothered all day by my phone buzzing and my phone making noise. So it's that's a little bit more complex, but I love it. I get distracted so easily, so my phone ringing all the time really distracts me. So at the end of the day, I go check my voicemails, or midday, I go check my voicemails, and there you go.
It's really smart. That's really smart. So there's another way to do this is use Josh. Don't use Alexa and Siri because Josh is agnostic. It's a different company.
Is Josh just your friend?
Ebony. Oh, no. So Ebony is an amazing designer out of, no, I'll tell you about Josh. So let me talk about Ebony first. First of all, Ebony is an amazing designer out of, I think you're in Virginia, right? But has a remodeling company and she's brilliant. And she met with my students at KBIS and I thank you so much. And they still talk about how amazing you are, Ebony. So thank you. Josh is a different voice activated system. I'm surprised you don't know who this is, but it's a super cool voice system. And with Josh, my house is controlled by Josh. It's Josh AI. You can look it up, and he's agnostic, so he's not linked to Amazon. He's not linked to Siri, so he's separate on his own system. But the owner of Josh still does not keep any voice activated things in his bedroom. He still will not have them in his room, in his bedroom or his kids' bedrooms, any of that.
What
but the problem is, then you have
bedroom. Let's not ask
well,
that.
You talk about things in your bedroom. Anyway.
That's funny. So the other thing that I'd mention is in our industry, we're going to get targeted ads because we talk about things that, we're searching things, we're posting things that have to do with our own industry. So you're going to get ads back about, I get ads all the time in personal emails all the time about rendering services. And I'm like, I don't need rendering services. I'm selling that service. So it's just because I'm posting about it. I'm going to get targeted for that. All right.
I went through a town the other day and I just looked at the business and like 2 days later, I got an ad from it on my Facebook.
Yeah.
Didn't say it or anything.
Exactly.
Just drove by it.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
cool.
The ones that I love are the ones who call about giving you a loan and that your Dun and Bradstreet numbers are so high that we can give you a whole bunch of money. Those are the ones I love. I probably get 2 of those a day. And that's, yeah. I've also heard that it's a good idea to I don't think this is a great idea, but I've heard that don't put your cell phone on your phone number on your website, but that just seems counterintuitive, make everybody email you, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's always crazy.
It's choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure. I think it's blocking as much as you can block. That helps. Right.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to go to, Dan said I get to sell stuff. So I'm going to start showing you some of my systems, but I'll make it pretty brief and maybe that will drive some questions.
There you go.
What's that?
We should probably talk about the summit.
Yeah.
Talk about the summit. All right.
Here.
So we got the summit coming up.
Exactly. And
Summit's
the wait list is,
people
are actually signing up. Yeah. People are already signing up for it. So
we've already got a few RSVPs. So if you just go to chiefexperts.com, it's going to be on our main page right here. So it's right there, ready for you to see, ready for you to look at. Hey, there I am. Click on the link. There's going to be some details there. We've already got some RSVPs. This is going to be 1 week only. It's a 10-day week.
Right.
Yep. 2 weeks this year was a little long, so 1 week only. So it's going to be, and I think we've got some more spots for that week. Is that true?
It's limited to 30 students.
We're limited to 30. Yeah.
We're accommodating 30 students. Okay, so there you go. So this is going to fill up fast. We almost filled up 30 students for 2 weeks last time, so this is going to fill up really quickly. And we're probably going to have a lot of returning people that are going to jump on this, no questions asked. So make sure to get in there.
Take a look at it. Dan has a time payment plans set up if you want to do it that way, so you don't have to pay for it all at one time. But you can put a deposit down to hold your space. And the schedule is actually nice. It's 10 days, so it's longer, but we do have some off days scheduled. So you can actually get out and see the ocean. I think I saw it once. In fact, I know I only saw the ocean one time. But it'll be, it's really very, very, very immersive. So those who have not attended, it's immersive for classes. It's for learning. We discuss business. We discuss, it's not just Chief, it's Chief Plus. So it's really, really, really an immersive, fabulous program. And if you're even considering it and you want to talk more about it, you're welcome to reach out to any of us about it, or talk to Dan. So check it out and sign up if you're interested.
I think I saw
Yeah,
that
I
there's
am.
I think I saw that there's 5 full days of training, formal training, and the other
Yeah.
days are, grab a friend that you met, and go at it.
Yeah, people were working. Well, Renee does not sleep. Just for those of you who don't know this, Renee does not sleep. So he is on his computer almost 24/7, and it's crazy. It's amazing. People were up working on things all night long. It was a lot of information. It was so much fun. It was fun. The food was great, and it's a beautiful environment, and the rooms are lovely, and the people were okay, but no, the people were great. It was fun. We had a great time. So consider it.
I'm not seeing
I
any
like this
chief
one.
questions coming through. So if somebody wants to ask a question,
I know there's no
get it up
chief
there, and we'll
questions.
cover it today.
Look at this,
Thank you,
reaching out to
Justin.
let you know your car warranty is expired. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you,
I
Justin.
bought my last car in 2023. I mean 2013 or something. All right. And so what was our next one? We had another little blurb on here from Dan. Oh, I know. That event from Jolene's coming up here.
Yes.
Let's take a look at that. So if you click on the store on the site, you're going to see this skyrocket your lead generation. And we started talking about this in the last designer show. And I got to say, I've implemented a few things that we've talked about with Jolene, and my analytic data is just skyrocketing since then. So there's something to this. The phone calls are coming in. It's nice. So if you've got a slow period, focus on this. And this, I think this course is priced low for what it's offering in terms of return. If you follow some of the stuff that they're talking about in this particular course, I think you're going to get a lot more traffic to your various sites, be it social, be it a website, what have you. So I don't know. To me, my business model wraps around future projections. I want clients that I don't necessarily have or I don't necessarily reach. And some of the stuff that she'll talk about in this course, that's going to get you there.
Jolene's easy to work with. She breaks it down in a really easy way to do it, but she really helps with your marketing. And, if you think you have too much work now, wait, remember 2008? Your marketing needs to start when you're really busy. So if you don't want to experience as bad of a crash, when the economy starts changing, our work changes. So you need to focus on your marketing. You need to focus on your marketing when you're doing really well. So it's a good option.
Very true. I'm going to go over something that is brought up a lot. I have a particular workflow that I use for changing floor heights. I see a post here, and it's talking about, going a 2-story building with a basement and go through the table that shows the heights and floor thicknesses and touch base on the important numbers. Now, we can talk about that, but I'm going to skip past that and go over a few methods for changing your floor heights. And I'll just start by, I'm going to create a dividing room here, just so we've got a couple different rooms to work with. And maybe I'll make like a stepped foundation. And then let me go ahead and build a new floor. And on that lower floor, I'm going to go ahead and make this a bearing wall. So I'm just going to open this up. And in the structure panel, you can see right here, there's the structure panel. I'm moving down here, and I'm going to click on bearing wall. And so if we get back into our perspective view, well, we got a 2-story building. And we in fact do have foundation underneath. Now I'm using a 3D mouse. I talk about 3D mouse every once in a while, but it really is invaluable for working in 3D if you like to work in 3D. And I'll show you a couple tricks for setting your floor heights. Now, anytime you click on an exterior side of a wall, so the exterior envelope of your building, if we hit tab or enter, that's going to get us to select our exterior room. What our exterior room actually is our floor default. So I clicked on the first floor exterior wall. I tabbed, and then we get a little tiny edit handle. It's super small little edit handle, if you can see that. Now, if I drag this edit handle up, I'm going to start to drag. I'm holding my mouse while I'm dragging. While I'm dragging, I'm going to click tab or enter. It's going to bring up this dialog box. I want to make sure that I have polar checked. That's going to tell this that I want to move by a specified amount in the direction that's listed in the angle. So I was dragging that line up 90 degrees. And so I want to increase my floor height. Now this is floor defaults by 2 feet. By default, my floor default is 8 foot on floor level 1. So we're moving this up to 10 foot. And we'll just show you how this works. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to look at my floor defaults. We'll look at our first floor defaults. And you're going to see here, in fact, we did change the entire floor's floor defaults by 2 feet. So very quickly, every room is going to fall into that 10-foot plate line now.
And that's because you're on the outside of the house adjusting it. That's going to change because you're on the outside of the house adjusting it. Okay.
Yes. Now, we didn't do anything with the second floor. Second floor is still at 8 foot. It just bumped up. Okay. So if I hide exterior facing rooms, we're going to see that floor platform change. Let's go back a level. There we go. We see that 8 foot height. Now you can do it when you use this method right here, which is in 3D, and I believe we're in camera view options, and we are hiding camera facing exterior walls. Okay. While I'm doing this, it's very easy for me to get up close to this and kind of click on my outside siding profile. And so I can still move floor defaults even when I'm hiding interior spaces. So what's interesting about this method is I'm going to click on this wall. I'm going to tab, and I'm going to move this up 2 feet. What did I do here? Well, I didn't move the overall floor height. I actually just moved this room. I can move this other room separate from that. And notice that's a little bit of a glitch with the hide facing interior walls. Back a couple levels. So this should be a stepped condition, but I might need to break those walls in this case. And
you would have to, okay.
Oh, I went back a little too far. Let me make this a bearing wall again.
So Renee, the 3D mouse that you're using, which I played with it a little, that the reason why I don't have it yet, and that's the reason why I have such a hard time doing any editing in 3D is because I don't have the 3D mouse. You can't do it with a regular mouse.
Not quite like this. And there's a few things that you absolutely cannot do without the 3D mouse. There's some added functionality, and I don't have a list of what that functionality is, but there's a few instances where I'm like, it's impossible to do this with a regular mouse. Okay. So there's whole conditions like that.
Okay.
I'm going to click on this foundation room now. This is a foundation room, and if I drag this down, say 36 inches, it's going to turn off my automatic build foundation, but I've now just created a stepped foundation system.
Oh, just on the outside.
So same thing, I can tab into a room, drop it down 3 feet, and there we go. We've got a stepped condition. So really easy to do this in this method as opposed to getting into all the room and structure dialog boxes. For me, this is graphical. It's easy for me to understand. It represents really well. And add to this what Justin says here, 3D snaps and elevation snaps. That's a big one. That is a huge benefit of having the 3D mouse. We have snaps in these views, so it's very easy to snap things on the fly, especially in 3D. It can kind of roll around and snap things to a particular element here.
We have to have a wall under the.
Someone's asking about sun angles, and absolutely not. They got to pay extra for that. I typically compose my shots just based on what I want to look the best shot. But if someone wants an accurate representation, and it happens, I get a client every once in a while that says, we don't get sun through that window. I'm like, okay, I'll fix that, no problem. And what a joy that new drag sun tool is. Again, this is another thing that I think just benefits from having the 3D mouse setup is I get to kind of pan around with the sun as I pan around with the room and kind of get my shot exactly the way I want it. Very quick to get this to look the way I want it to. So while we're kind of gathering questions right now, I'm going to just go over real quickly. I've got some new updates in my Pro plan, and I'm really excited about them. And I'm going to be releasing another version of that very soon. So I sell a set of templates. There's a standard plan and a Pro plan. They're not inexpensive, but they also have thousands of hours into their development. So, and there's a couple of reasons why. And one of which is I've got a whole new set of macros built into my cabinet labels, so that when I use them with my kitchen tools, for instance, I can paint a double drawer base. You're going to see here the Pro plan actually knows that this is now a true two-drawer base. And so I'm using some typical naming conventions for cabinets that we might see from your cabinet vendors. So when I place an upper unit, it's going to be placing, according to my naming convention. And this is not quite ironed out yet. This is showing that that's a full height cabinet and shouldn't be. But when I place dishwasher, it's automatically going to change to dishwasher. If I place a garbage pull out, it's going to go ahead and tell us that that's garbage. If we shrink that down to a certain size, it's going to know that it's a spice pull out. So I'm doing a lot less for labeling. This makes a huge difference for me. If I place a sink, it's going to know that I've got a sink base now. So this makes a huge difference for me. I don't like typing, so I'm starting to build out things that handle typing for me. And another thing is I've got some really kind of new look and feel for schedules. And so I've got some schedules built in that are all macro driven that might look a lot different than what you typically see in a schedule from Chief Architect. So I'm giving a lot of data in my schedules, and I'm going for kind of a horizontal look with an elevation, and it's giving a bunch of additional data, including what my opening sizes are and my drawer sizes are. So we're getting into some specifics that might help your cabinet vendor if you get that specific with your cabinet plans.
Are you working with custom shops, or are you most of your project? Well, you don't do the build part. You just do the design, right?
I do. I'm custom shops and modular, so
Okay.
I kind of cater to both. And then
Okay.
I've overhauled my window labels as well, so they will point to what room you're in. They even look to see if you're in a remodel workflow. If you have your default windows set with the correct energy values, that prefix that says E for existing disappears automatically. So in this case, I'm showing that I've got old windows with old energy values. But if I were to come in here and open this particular window and get into our energy values, and let's just say, for argument's sake, I'm going to set these to 0.2, you see that window label changes on the fly. So it lets me know in a remodel workflow what's existing, what's new, and then we go look at my window schedule. And this is built out again with a lot of data, elevation with the arrows. It shows us our label, our type. It'll even show us what the material is, interior frame is versus exterior frame. It'll show your rough opening sizes, your header that we specified, whether it's egress or not, what the glazing is. And this is all built on a macro system. So getting into some pretty advanced stuff in here. And then for those that haven't seen it before, I'll just spend another 2 minutes just talking about my my stackable details. Stackable details. This is a great idea from Ken, the design guy who was at the summit. He pointed me to this detail. I have a bunch of details that will easily stack, meaning that you can trade them out in an elevation view. So let me just do a new layout, and I'll get to a blank page on this layout. And I do
This
sell
is
my
kind of
layouts
the
as well.
magic stuff.
This is the magic sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
This
crazy.
is this is a
crazy.
stackable detail. So every one of these is just an individual detail, but they're drawn in a way that they line up, so that if I hit my relink layout box and I point to, say, a raised curb, for instance, that just lines up with the other detail. No problem there. So we're trading out a full section very quickly. I can even get to 2-story, 3-story, 4-story sections just by adding in new stackable details and linking them. And all these details, all these parameters are driven by kind of like a graphical user interface that I built, which is this page. This may look overwhelming, but as I move a leader, say from this guy right here that's pointing to this insulation from R28 to an R20 bat fill, that's going to immediately change all of my details to that designation. So very, very quickly, we're annotating a full cross section and all of our details necessary. So if you're doing details in-house, go check out my ProPlan. It's a good system. It works really well.
It's brilliant.
It's
brilliant.
Just open it again. And there's a bunch more stuff in there too. It's a bunch of good stuff. A few people have on the show. All right, so what do we have, John? What did we come up with?
Well, there was a question back to that question about setting floor heights and stuff, just doing it from the standard.
From the standard view?
Yeah, standard details and stuff.
And I guess I'd want to know more about what the question is. There's a million ways to skin this cat. It's just, there's so much you can do in here. And I mean, I like to start with floor defaults. I don't particularly go through the room structure data boxes that much. I get into floor defaults. I do it so much that I have a button on my toolbar. But if you don't have a button on your toolbar, get into our floors and rooms in default settings. So edit default settings, floors and rooms, and floor levels. This is where I always start if I'm designating a structure for a project. And so we can get into our first floor defaults here, and then go through this and set it according to your project needs, right? And the main ones to me are, we're going to get into floor structure, and maybe this is 14-inch TGI, so we're going to change that framing to an I-joist. And so now we've designated this as a TGI. Need to see if it should be detailed as insulation or not. We can talk about the cavity value of that insulation or not. I drive this from a macro system, but you can easily do this from this section right here. And when you set these up according to your specifics, and we're driving everything from those defaults, you'll see here now my room, when I get into that structure tab, you see this is set to default. So if we open this up, it is in fact that I-joist that we just set. And that's coming from the floor defaults. So that's why I like to drive everything from floor defaults. If you do that, you're going to run into a lot less problems. We just talk about how Chief Architect views platforms and walls. As a builder, it was natural for me to come in and think, how tall are we framing that wall? But in fact, in Chief Architect, it's more like we're looking at what's our plate height? What's the envelope height of that particular room? How are we defining the room? The room will then designate the wall height. So it's a little bit of a different approach in thinking. So we're looking at our platforms. So if we have some strange artifacts when we're designing in Chief Architect, it usually has to do with platform intersections, meaning that our envelope isn't fully conceived and conceptualized in a way that Chief can handle. So we want to kind of take that back to defaults. And if you are running into some graphical problems and you're having some conditions that you can't solve for and you're deep into a project, I always tell people, don't forget to look at the edit area tool. So we get into edit area, we can edit area all floors. When we do this, we can draw a marquee around our entire structure, and from there we can copy. So from that copy, we can take this into Chief's default residential templates. And a nice trick about that is it may point out some problems with your default settings very quickly. So, and that's a place to play around with it. You can play around with it in that, duplicate file, if you will. And I encourage you to go back in and let's see, what was the method for setting all walls back to default? I think
Under
they're
edit, reset defaults, or
reset to defaults. There you go. And so we've got flooring heights, we've got ceiling heights, we've got wall top and bottom heights. I'll tell you, more often than not, when I run into a problem from someone else's plan, it's from the wall bottom heights and wall top heights where we've manually edited some kind of wall height. So I'd say that's a last resort when we're working in Chief Architect. I would encourage you not to edit a wall height unless it's a stepped foundation that you have to manipulate specifically for some terrain.
right.
And then get accustomed to learning the build foundation dialog box. This is a big one, kind of getting in here, and I'd say click around, play around. If you have a particular condition you're trying to solve for, go ahead and post that. We could tell you how to do a hanging floor platform. I have a video out on my YouTube channel recently that was talking about a hanging floor platform off of a notched edge in your foundation stem wall. So there's some videos we can do for you. Just let us know what you need in terms of your floor structure. We can get into it. But there's a million different floor structures from all different regions of the world. So we could bury a show in that topic alone.
A few. Are you able to address Mike's question that Dan sent us?
That's a
About the-
tough one. I'm not
Okay.
very studied in the material list. I know that it has to do with our cut list. So let me get into it real quick. Let's see if I can handle this. So calculate materials for all floors. I'll just go ahead and do that real quick. And we're talking about
Renee, let's do it. Let's do it different. Let's do it. Let's draw a house with like an 8-12 pitch roof on it, and put the rafter stuff in a schedule and look at it that way.
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to
That's
read
how
the question, you guys, so everybody understands. So the question is, if you draw a building that's 30 by 20, the span is 20 feet with 16-inch over, 16-inch, what's OH? I'm sorry.
Overhang.
Probably.
That's what I thought it was. And frame the roof with rafters. In the framing schedule under length, Chief gives a value that is way too large. I wanted to use Chief to create cut sheets, but the length value is not calculated by the run, the span ridge times 2 or divided by 2. Can you comment on Chief's framing info and what ways I can work the systems to get accurate results?
So here's something funny. I don't think I even knew there was such a thing as a framing schedule.
Oh, there is.
So let's see. Let's build all framing. And yeah, it doesn't look like mine even sets this to report to a schedule.
You have to add the rafters to it. But yeah, get a framing schedule going. Make sure the
Okay,
rafters
so now we've got framing schedule, and let's just pull a line length on maybe one of our longest runs here is 200 inches. Okay, and then we're saying that these don't report correctly. Is that what
they
it
don't
is?
report correctly in the schedule.
This is going to report their length according to their pitch, so it's going to be longer than what we're seeing.
No, that's not it. It's doing even more than that. It's measuring from the opposite side of the ridge to the outside of the subfascia.
I would have to dive into this off of a live show.
Yeah.
To kind of get into this, because I've got a lot of questions already. That right there is reporting 241 inches.
Yeah, that measurement is completely wrong.
That measurement's
for
wrong?
The ridges. That's for the ridges, or for the hips. But that's not right either. There's no way they're that long.
Well, let me do this. I'm going to, well, I didn't spec it according to his house. So
I know.
I'm going to convert this to a fixture, okay, real quick. And then what I'll do is we'll just place it in plan. This is a good way we can even test it. And then I'm going to rotate it. So right now, what's a 8 and 12 pitch in degrees? I have no idea. I can't think.
Like 30 something.
We can just type it in. 8 and 12. Oh, I need to move it in the Y. No, in the X. There we go. In the X. And I'm going to reconvert this to a new symbol and place it. And now I'll tell you how long it is. Yeah, it's correct. It's reporting correct. It's 244 inches.
For which one?
That's the full length. So I just took that rafter and converted it to a symbol, and that was this length, and then I flattened it out and converted it to a symbol again and reported its length, and it was 244. So so I need to know more about this.
On there. Mike says that, yeah, see what Mike says on here.
Well, I didn't build his exact structure.
Make your building 20 by 30 and try it. See what you get with an 8-12 pitch.
Okay.
16 inch soffit overhang.
So 20 by 30.
Yep.
And it's got an 8 and 12 pitch.
Yep.
And we're going to build all again. And so this one showing 163 inches, and he's saying it's
he's saying it's 143 and 5/16.
Yeah. It's really hard for me to process on the fly like this. I'd say, Mike, send me this and we'll address it in the next show, because we'll get a chance to play around with this and get all your specifics. Okay. I talked to Mike, so he knows how to get a hold of me. Yeah. Because I'm going to flounder if I sit here and try to figure out exactly what's going on.
That's okay. It's totally cool.
Hey, look at this. I got a promo. Thanks, Vicky. Cool. What other questions we have in here? See, any metric templates? I'm working on it, man. I'm 75% through on a metric template. I don't think anyone has a metric template. It's really challenging. But hey, if you want a metric template, please talk to me, because I don't know how you crazy people build, and that's where I'm missing data. But I have my same pro plan templates built in the metric templates, and they're 3/4 of the way complete, and I am never motivated to touch them. So contact me directly, please.
You know, we have two people who are here, one from Australia and one from someplace in Africa, and I can't remember. I apologize. I'm sorry, I missed where he said he is. And somebody from the UK. I mean, it seems like they should have a template. You know, maybe that's a place that they could send it to you and get started working on creating something.
Okay. Yeah, please just, you know, I don't build in metric, and I don't build in the regions that use metric. So a lot of the things that I'm held up on right now is I don't know what's common to be able to address it. So it has all the tools and settings that I have, except for the building itself, the building elements itself. So Richard made a comment here, and this is an easy one to address. John, you want to talk about this?
I don't. I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
We'll let you keep going, Renee. We're here to support you.
So he's talking about, can we drop a keynote in here and then, you know, designate its number? And yes, you can. And it's very simple, actually. All we're going to do is, this is a note specification dialog box, and we're just going to take this text above line here, and this is it. So we can take this and designate it as anything that we want. So maybe this is going to be D3, something like that. So that's designated as D3. Let me see if that does in fact correlate with the schedule. I've got a keynote schedule in here. And you can see here, it did in fact change it in the call out in my schedule. So that's me overriding the simple schedule number. And while I have you, let's talk about a couple things here. Let me get into a schedule that has a little bit more information into it. Like maybe.
Well, hold on. So Renee, so since you set that one keynote set at D3, will the next one automatically go to D4? Or do you have to always override them?
That's a great question. Let's just see what happens.
If you copy that note, and then change the information in it, it will do it right.
Change the information. Show me.
Let me just do a little test here. And that's going to show 2. And then let's do something else, 3. So in this case, not quite.
Just copy your D3 note and place it in another spot and change the information in it.
Well, so I put D3 as an override, but you could put D as a prefix and then drop in that object-specific simple schedule number. And this will go back to an ordering system. But another thing you can do is you can always reorder from the schedule itself. So I can click on this, and we have these little tiny edit handles here, and we click and drag that. It would reorder if we have these following a convention. So in terms of this is following a convention right now, simple schedule number. So if I move this up the stack, you can see it automatically changed to 1. So you can set your prefix, and then you can reorder from the schedule itself.
And that's the proper way to do it, is just add your prefix in front of the existing macro. And that way, every time you pull in that keynote, you're staying consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way to do it.
And then, of course, you can write in your own macros. I'm getting into more macro stuff, so you can do something that's more advanced if you need to match something very, very specific. I know certain regions of Texas are really crazy with their page labeling systems and requirements. So I've had to work with someone on that.
We have some weird jurisdiction that actually has their own page label requirements. It's nothing like, I work in 3 different counties, and this one county likes their labels totally different. It's the weirdest thing because nobody does it. It's just so bizarre that they're so neurotic about it. So it's absolutely neurotic about it. See, you should reach out to Gresby. He's from Zambia. And the other person who said they're from New Zealand, they'd be able to help you with that metric thing because they actually understand it. We're just Americans. We don't understand metric.
I don't feel like building that system out, but I will. I just need the encouragement.
Well, people will buy it from you, Renee. It's ready to go. It's an option, right?
Yeah. That's going to be a lot of people going, why the heck do you have that door frame like that? We don't do that here. Like, okay, shoot. Sorry.
Yeah.
Going to be a lot of updates the first month. So I had this question come up. I have, speaking of, to kind of like limit my need of tech support, I built out a Discord server, and that is very overwhelming to a lot of people, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of automation built into it, and it's turning me into 5 me's. So I'm really enjoying that. Maybe we'll do a little segment on it on another show. But part of that is that someone posted some questions about schedules in that Discord server, and we have a lot of. Here's a cool, crazy thing. I know we've been talking about AI in a couple of the past shows. I have ChatGPT Plus. I pay for it, and I have some robots that I built into Discord, and I have loaded the Chief Architect manual, X15 manual, into my website somewhere, and I have ChatGPT look at that page, and it will now answer me correctly for X15 questions.
So is that wild. Kevin? Is that Kevin?
Yeah, the Kevin Transu bot.
You are so funny.
If you didn't know, we have a bot named Kevin Transu. He's a smart guy.
Renee, you are a scary person. You are a very scary person.
Where is he? Here he is. This is the Kevin Transu bot. There he is, right there. God.
They're so funny. So funny.
Yeah, he does a lot of work for us. So yeah, I can now answer questions from Chief Architect using a robot. That's really cool. And so I had it answer a couple questions for me. I'm having it write macros for me. It's been really enjoyable. So one of the questions came up: how do we order our schedules in a certain way? And there's a couple of tricks to this. Say that we want to. In this case, I'm going to add room as a designation to this door schedule, which I should have that in here anyway. So let's add room name in here, and we're going to move it up the stack. Just in case you're not familiar with the schedule dialog box, the add button in the center here, that will add items from available columns to columns to include in your schedule. Remove will remove those columns. You can add anything from those available columns and rename them. And we'll just talk a little bit about going advanced on this. Every object in Chief Architect has an object information panel. Okay, so if we open this door up, it has this object information panel. In this object information panel, we have the ability to create a new field. Let's just create one, okay? I'm going to name this Kevin Trantu field. Now, if I put some data in that field, which is the field value here, he's awesome. I'm going to press OK. I want to get back to that door schedule. And in available columns to include, we're going to see very quickly that we have Kevin Transu field. We can add this, and maybe that custom field was something internal to indicate what we should be inputting there, like input how awesome Kevin Transu is here. And maybe what we actually want to say is how awesome.
Oh, you can rename it at that point.
We can rename it at this point. So how awesome reports there. And it happens to be that that was an exterior door that reports to my window schedule, but it would have shown how awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
If you guys aren't using the schedules and customizing your schedules and saving your schedules in your plan view, you're wasting time. It is amazing. My schedules do all the work for me. It's like I'm designing and it's automatically filling up. Just remember, charge more.
Charge more.
Charge more.
A lot of stuff. It takes a lot of time, and it's built in automatic here. So say that I have my. We didn't get the room in here, did we? Oops, I went back a level. Get that room name in here. This is a common thing where I want to sort this by a room name. Let me designate a few room names here, just so we have something to differentiate. So we'll get in here. By the way, if you guys have never used style palettes before, I've been pushing this for 4 versions now, and Chief hasn't fixed it. Style palettes do not currently spray in the room type, which would be an awesome way of never having to open a dialog box. Instead, we could just click on a room type name and click on the room, and it would automatically change the type. We can't do that. They haven't. I've been the only one that's ever recorded it. So go bug Chief about it, please, because I'll build a tool set for you for free that you'll love. So we got bath, dining, and unspecified. So I want to organize this list. First off, I want to organize this based on the description, okay? And in this case, I might change description to type, who knows? And we know how to do that now. So I want to organize this based on description. So let me go ahead and get in here and automatically sort by, okay? And I'm going to choose description. So what's this going to do? Let's press OK and get back into it. It switched the order. Before that, pocket door was at the bottom. Now it's at the top. Okay. Now, the room name, it's interesting that it's grouping bath dining together. What on earth is that? Oh, because it's sharing rooms. A door schedule was a poor choice here.
Well, move your doors. Just move them to the other walls. That's easy to do.
Yeah, I'll cut it. Poor choice. Okay, bath unspecified. There we go. So we are organizing by pocket door description because we did that first. There's an order of operations here. Now let me open it up, and I'm going to change this to room name ascending.
Why did they put pocket doors in front of hinge doors? Because hinge doors, H starts before P. Why would it put pocket doors first? Who knows? Doesn't matter.
Because I had it descending. So it's flipped the other way
Got
around.
it. Okay.
And I should probably build the schedule out to be far more robust so we can see a clear example of what I'm doing. But if you do your one designation first, it will order based on that. Then if you do your second designation, it will keep the order of your first designation and then split it up and order it by room. So if you have 10 objects, say it's a cabinet, right, in your bathroom, it's still going to organize by type in this case. So maybe we have a cabinet schedule where we want to organize by type, where it's base cabinet, then wall cabinet, then full height cabinet. We can then reorganize that by room. It will still keep the type in order, but it will then sort by room name. So that was a question that came up. It's just an order of operations thing. You do one before the next. You have to shut down the schedule in between every new designation of ordering. Got to run new puppy duty. That's cute.
Super cute.
I've been doing a little bit of work on this rafter length thing being wrong in the schedule, and it looks to me like what it's doing is giving you the overall length of the piece of lumber you need to create that rafter.
Okay.
Oh.
And is there any fix in that in terms of the schedule, or do you have to change your buy list? Does it correlate with the buy list somehow in the cut list?
It would, yeah.
Since it's dynamic now?
Yep.
Okay.
I haven't been able to find a number yet that correlates with the actual length, like along the top edge, what you would use to cut that and have a plumb cut on both ends. I haven't gotten that figured out yet, but
so Mike's not, I think Mike just left, but I think, so what if we changed from a cut list to an actual list, and then does it report correctly would be my question.
What do you mean an actual list?
Meaning, well, change your, what's it called? What's it called in the tools section here?
I'm not in the material list.
Yeah.
I'm just going off the schedule.
So structural member reporting, if you change from your linear length to your cut list or buy list, does that change the schedule would be my question.
Probably would.
So there's kind of, there's your answer in terms of the schedule. That doesn't really help in terms of a material list that then is different from the schedule, though. Kind of interesting. We should talk to them about that. Oh, by the way, there's something. What do they used to call this? The users group meeting, the annual users group meeting, but it's actually Chief Architect's annual event. Let me see if we can get on the Chief Talk page and get into their announcements. Just show this real quick. What do we have? We have, oh, I figured it would be in here somewhere.
Before we close out, could we just talk real quickly about what Norman James and Justin Ball discussed about the 3D mouse, the connection?
Yeah, what are they? Yeah,
well,
what do they have?
Norman asked that he has a 3D mouse plus, and he wanted to talk about customization of the axis and the buttons, please. And Norman and Justin Ball responded that there's a link download in the Chief forums for the 3D mouse. Have you seen that?
Oh, well,
Justin,
someone shared, someone in the symbols and content. Well, actually, I don't know about, you're saying in the forums or at Chief Architect's page?
He says in the Chief forums for the 3D mouse, there's a link download in the Chief forums for the 3D mouse.
Okay, so what I did know, I don't know where that is. I guess a good search might help, but I do know that in the symbols and content section, someone was nice and gave up their config file. So this gets you some pretty good setups. This isn't my setup. My setup is far more complex, but this will get you some basics that might really be nice for you. So
that's really
he's done
nice.
A lot of this legwork here, and I think has this bound to the keyboard specifically. Yeah, he does, but it will still import all of these radial menus, and you can assign them to whatever other device that you have. So That's helpful because he even loaded in the logos. I'll show you when I
Justin
have
says
this,
there's other ones in there.
when I have, okay, nice. Some other people have
Yeah.
shared it. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's
I'll
great.
click
Thank you
on
for
this.
sharing.
This button right here brings up that GUI where I can edit my settings. And then from here, I hit buttons. From here, I'm going to designate what each button does. You're going to see here my F key, it does a custom radial menu. So I did a new radial menu. From that new radial menu, I built out a radial system here. When you go into designate one of these sections, I'm just going to do a new one for something I don't care about here. Maybe this menu item here. So I'm going to do a new radial menu. Okay, I'm going to either make it 4 sections or 8 sections. If you're on a Mac, you only get 4 sections. Sorry, you should go get a professional tool like a PC. And
be nice.
So that was
nice.
a question whether or not the Space Mouse works on a Mac, and you're saying it does work.
It does work.
Just a little bit more limited.
Yes, it does work, but it has a little. I actually find the interface on the Mac to be much nicer. I'll give you that, but it's limited to 4 sections currently. So as opposed to 8 positions. So I'm gonna, instead of typing a shortcut, I actually like seeing a graphic. If you type in a shortcut, it's going to show that shortcut in the radio menu as text. If you want to see a graphic, you'd have to do a new macro, which you can just type in new macro. Okay, you click on new macro. This is where we're going to designate that macro. I'm going to enter in some things here. Maybe we'll just do, a wall tool or something like that. And then we have this section right here. It's got like a little icon. If I click on that, it's going to bring up a bunch of icons that are built into the driver package for the 3D mouse. But if we want a custom icon, we can click on custom icon at the top. We can do some dragging and dropping. Now, here's where I might choose a file from Chief Architect itself. And if you're in a Windows platform, I actually don't know where this lives in Mac. We went over this a number of times. Someone would have to chime in to tell us where to find it. But we're going to get into program files. In this case is where the resources for Chief live. And so then I'll click on Chief Architect X15. And there is a folder called Resources. And under Resources, there's a folder called Buttons. So here's where we can quickly choose our wall icon. And there we go. And so now this is loaded up as a button position for this particular item. Now I'm going to do a macro where I am typing out whatever my corresponding hotkey is in Chief Architect. And keep in mind, this can do very complex macros, which means I can hit my K key and then I can add in a delay if I wanted to in milliseconds, where maybe I wanted to wait a full 2 seconds. And then I can add another command like W, something like that. So press save. I'm going to close this out. And the next time I hit my menu key in Chief Architect, you can see here, there's that wall. Now what happens here is I don't need to click on this radial position. I can drag my mouse right past it and it's going to enact that hotkey right away. So muscle memory takes over. Then it becomes very quick and easy for me to draw a door, draw a window. And I have a system where I can draw a different type of door by holding a couple of modifier keys. So very, very quick to eat and easy to use this. And I'll just add to this that I use this system in my Chrome, Adobe Photoshop, every software that I use, Windows Explorer, you name it. If I've got an Explorer file open, I have the macro system targets based on what your active window is. So it will automatically switch profiles based on what your window is. So very cool.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Do you have an answer for this one, Renee? If you can change the orientation of the axes.
Okay. I set my SketchUp up to match my Chief because I originally started using my 3D mouse in Chief. So I switched all my parameters in SketchUp to build exactly the way I do in Chief. And it is a big retraining of your mind your motor neurons to figure that out. So
yeah.
You got a 1 month road ahead, my friend.
Along those same lines, there's been some things on Facebook and stuff about dimensions not snapping to the right spot.
Yeah.
Could be a couple of things. It could be you're using your point-to-point tool. Don't use your point-to-point, use your end-to-end. The other thing is, if you're an AutoCAD user in the past, AutoCAD places the point when you click down on your mouse, and Chief places the point when you let go of the click. So I had a guy in a class one time that was having that trouble, and it was pretty obvious what he was doing. So if you're a past AutoCAD user, just be aware of that when you click down on your mouse with AutoCAD, it places it. When you let it up on Chief, it places it.
I'm going to place some cabinets in this plan and just show an example. A bunch of the same cabinets in the plan and throw a little filler in here. And then
nice design, Renee. Right in front of the door, too. Right? It's great. High quality design.
I see a lot of people, all they do is they just drop a countertop in here, and that's the kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's totally fine. I get it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you hire a kitchen designer right there.
Exactly.
That's nice. Yeah.
So there's a reason I have my cabinet defaults right in my toolbars. They're right at the top here, because very easily I can switch to a bunch of different cabinet defaults depending on what I want to do. And you can see here when I pull my wall elevation, it automatically switched to that cabinet default. And that was set up in my camera views. So it's easy to hit my manual dimension tool and drag a line here, and I'm going to pick up everything that I want. And then I like to snap this to the base here and then hit my tab or enter key and just add plus 18 so that everything is uniform. And then in my layout, I snap all floors to floors and all my dimension strings line up with each other, and that works beautiful. Sometimes I'll copy this dimension string and drag it down, hit tab, and hit another 12 inches, and then this is my first offset, and I might clean this up. And you can sometimes very easily clean this up just by, I might copy this again, bring it up here, and just drag this back, and then change the dimension default to something else. So bunch of ways that you can do dimensioning very quickly and get what you want. I'm going to switch.
Wait a second. Show that again, Renee. Show that again, please.
I will in just 1 second. I'm going to show you. I switched from manual dimensions to end, but we're still using the same dimension default. So I can just quickly drag my leader through here, and you can see here it's getting the full end run. I'll snap it to this, draw it down, hit my tab or enter key. There's my 12-inch offset. So very quickly, I got an overall run, and I got these individual component runs. So it's super easy to dimension this way, all through the defaults. And you change it based on what tool you're using. So locate manual versus locate end to end. We've got different designations here. And so I always encourage people to put their active dimension defaults into their toolbars. You can get to that by customized toolbars. And we're in elevation view here. So this is where I want it to show up. And we can type in the term active, and we're going to see active dimension defaults control. When we drag this into tool, there we go. We've created that new toolbar within this toolbar configuration. And so what I was saying was you can copy any dimension string and drag it to wherever you want, and it's going to place arbitrary points now. But you can pull this dimension string with that continuation handle, which is this guy right here. We got that in, I think, X12. That continuation handle, we can pick up additional measurements. My dimension defaults are set to be very precise. So you have to be within 6 inches of something to be able to pick up anything. And I do that on purpose. I don't want to pick up a bunch of additional elements.
The string has to be within 6 inches.
The string has to be within 6 inches, yeah. So I'll just show you my dimension defaults. When I pull a manual dimension and I drag it down here, it's not picking up anything. And we'll give you the use case of where that is. So like the out of the box dimension defaults for Chief, if I drag a manual string through here, it's going to pick up that wall cabinet and all these base cabinets all in one string. And we'll show you why that is. I'm going to open this dimension string, change the dimension default. And then we'll change our, let's see, it's been a while since I've done this. Reach right here. So our reach designation. And so I don't remember what out of the box is, but I bet you it's
24
like
inches. It's 24 inches. Yeah.
Yeah. So now when we pull that same string through here, it's picking up everything under the sun, right? So I like to be accurate with my dimensions. I don't like to pick up a bunch of additional stuff. So I have mine set to 6 inches. Makes a big difference. So we could drag that continuation handle backwards, and then we get in tight with that 3D mouse. This is another, nice mention for that. You can see here it's not grabbing anything. Same thing if I bring it back through these cabinets and drag it backwards again, and then drag it forwards. Now it's picking up all of those cabinets.
That's smart.
So
yeah, it's really smart.
Quick and easy way to dimension cabinets right here.
Well, you need to spend time going through what your dimensions are doing. You have so many options, and when it comes out of the box, Chief has practically everything clicked.
Yeah.
Everything selected. You have to go through and break things out. You absolutely have to. I mean, make the dimension lines work for you.
Yeah. Let's see. What was this one? I think we got time for one more question. You guys want to talk about anything before we close out?
Well, Edith has a question, but this is a big one. Her question is how to design a pull-out shoe drawer underneath the stairs. That's probably bigger than what we have time for. Or
yeah, a pull-out shoe drawer under the stairs. Okay, let's see if we can. I mean, it's going to take us 10 minutes. So let's say we've got a set of stairs. I'm just going to click stairs. One click will automatically send that to the next level, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm actually going to just break this to show that we're breaking it. I got a little bug flying around my ear. I'm going to break it, and actually, let's just make it a complete break. Let me go back a level. We're going to use that break tool. We're going to use that complete break.
Just a second, Renee. Richard, if you want us to answer this, can you give us a little bit more information?
Yeah, I was curious about that one too. So Edith, I'm going to draw some walls underneath my stairs, and I'm going to return them on this break. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fake it till I make it, if you will. You can just put a doorway in here. Put a doorway on this wall, and then put your shoe cabinet. And maybe you've downloaded something that represents a shoe cabinet that places on the back side of a door. So here's my doorway. I'm just going to limit this to whatever the size of that shoe cabinet is and pick it up off the ground. And then we could, designate that it has no jamb or no casing. And then maybe that it has no sill as well. Or maybe it does. And then place your cabinet within here. And the trick with the cabinet is that you need to have some kind of accessory. By the way, if we're not used to this yet, this is my new favorite thing. This is my customer request. So happy they gave us this. Select next side. Very easy to select in 3D, that top or bottom side of this cabinet to rotate it. Although it looks like they didn't give us the bottom side there. Funny. This is where that
Carlos, yes, this is this live stream is on Renee's site and on Dan's site and on YouTube.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
So you'll be able to find it. Yeah.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere. Kind of scary, but we're everywhere.
So I kind of, got this in place. The last thing is that we're going to edit that face item.
She wants it on the side. It's the same thing.
It's the same process. It's the same process. Put a door. If you're trying to angle the shoe shelf, that's a different story. You're going to have to build a very custom cabinet if you want to angle a shoe shelf. That's a different show. I do that from a window. I build a box from a window and apply it to a cabinet, and that's more advanced. But if you're just looking, to add a shoe shelf to a very square element and then add an angle window above it to represent a cabinet, you can get away with that. But this is where I would get into that front sides back, pick my door drawer, and specify that it has a door back insert, and maybe you can add in, if you really want to get clever, you can add in some kind of pull-out shoe system here or what have you.
We don't have to go any further. I think you hit the point on that one. So, Edith, you should actually really reach out to. We'll have to do a show sometime talking about how Renee uses windows and doors. It is absolute magic. That is something that I learned at Summit, and it was crazy. Renee, you'd be amazed as I have taught my students using your system on how to make a custom fireplace.
Oh,
Not,
cool.
obviously not using your tools, and they're like, oh my God, who knew that you could do that? It's amazing. Renee does everything with windows and doors. It is amazing what he creates. So, and come to Summit. You'll get hands-on learning how to do it. It's crazy.
Yeah, we get into a lot of really cool stuff at the Summit.
Crazy stuff.
I can't even list. We're gonna have to figure out some way to tabulate it all because we went over so many things.
Oh my gosh.
I will answer Richard's, and then we got to close the show down. But if you change your camera view options from a live view to plot lines, then you can do a point-to-point snap on your floor to your floor. Okay, and then if you want it live, just switch it back to live after you've aligned them. So there you go. That's a real quick answer for that one.
Perfect.
Okay.
Out for this one. Yep. Sweet. That went by fast.
It's fun.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
Are we going to invite Dan back? I don't know that we need to.
I don't know.
Nah.
I don't know. Well, he does have the thing to set up the meeting. So maybe we'll
He has to send us the link, you guys.
Yeah, it is his account. Yeah.
No,
right,
Dan will
well,
be here next time. Just to remind people, if you're interested at all in making your business successful, look at joining the marketing program that Dan is doing with Jolene. It's totally worth your money. It's totally worth your time. It will change your business structure. I highly recommend it. And then if you're even considering Summit, check it out and start thinking about it because it was a blast and you learned a lot. And you got to hang out with these great guys. So it was really fun.
And it's only 8 months away.
I know it's coming up.
And it's filling
up.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
day,
everyone.
everybody. Take care. Have a good weekend.